¿No se ha anunciado ni nada?
What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us on Robert Garcia Unfiltered. We're finally back. We've done back-to-back weeks already. We're finally starting to get the schedules, our schedules down. This is what, your guys' first week in Saudi Arabia?
First week in Saudi, yes.
First week in Saudi Arabia, which actually helped us out because now you guys are 12 hours ahead. So when I wake up here, it's right now easier. It's 6 in the morning, so it's 6 p.m. over there. So it actually works out pretty.
No, it's 10 hours. So over here is
4 p.m.
4:42 p.m.
Yeah, okay, it's 6:40. Yeah. All right, that's cool.
10 hours.
We had a few fights this past weekend. We had some fights on Friday from the Pechanga Casino here in Temecula. Then we had Ryan Garcia fighting Saturday at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. He fought against Javier Fortuna. We'll get started with that card. It was kind of an underwhelming undercard. On paper, the fights looked like they had a lot of potential for great fights and stuff. But we kind of, I think all three, was it 3 or 4 fights that went the distance? It started with Ricardo Sandoval, who was the IBF. I believe last year he's at 112 pounds. He was fighting in an IBF title eliminator against Jay Harris, and he went to the UK and picked up the win as an underdog in the other guy's hometown. But for some reason, him and his team, Golden Boy, maybe his trainers, managers, I don't know what, they didn't end up taking the IBF title fight against Sonny Edwards. They chose to go a different route. He took a stay busy fight earlier in the year, and then now today, on Saturday night, he had a WBA title eliminator, which he lost. So now he doesn't get his title fight. I thought he won the fight, very close, but I did think he won. He got dropped, I think, in the 11th round, but came back strong. What did you think of the fight?
You know what? I didn't see the fight, but I was surprised when I read that he had lost. But sometimes, not sometimes. Lately, all the mandatories, sometimes they just don't really care about mandatories. We're in the same position with Josh right now, and guy was deciding not to fight. So now what's going to happen, we don't even know. So I don't know if it was that Sandoval, his team, Golden Boy decided to.
Yeah, but that wasn't IBF.
It was the IBF is the one. Yeah.
So Sonny Edwards came out saying that it was their team that decided not to do the fight.
Oh.
So what I think happened was, you mentioned it too, Sandoval is ranked number 1 for the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF.
Uh-huh.
They looked at all 3 champions. I believe the best guy at 112 pounds right now is Junto Nakatani at the WBO champ.
Right.
Then Sonny Edwards.
Yes.
And the WBA is a Ukrainian guy who's been very inactive. Artem Dalak, I can't pronounce his last name. He's been very inactive. I think his team looked at the guys at 112 pounds and said, maybe we could get this title fight. So they went for that one, and they thought that would be their best chance, and they ended up losing in the eliminator. Again, I thought he won the fight. It was a competitive fight. It was a good fight, which I thought he pulled off. But with him getting knocked down in the 11th round, really didn't help his case. We also had Lamont Roach on the undercard, who picked up a decision win, hurt the guy, I think, in like the 5th round, 4th round, something like that, but then went the full distance. Again, nothing to really really talk. No highlights in the fight, nothing really big. He just controlled most of the fight. Then we go to Alexis Rocha. Again, the same thing, just dominated the whole fight, won every single round, but I believe he hurt his hand after like the 4th or 5th round. He hurt the guy with the body shot, but then he came back to the corner, and he didn't say it specifically that he hurt his hand, but he told his head coach Hector something, and Hector told him, well, you have to block it out and you have to go out there and fight. So that tells me that there was something wrong. That tells me a hand injury, something like that. Did you get a chance to see Rochas?
No, I didn't get to see the fights. I think that was the day we were traveling, so we didn't get to see the fights. I know from just from what I've read, and a few of the highlights, stuff like that. With Sandoval, the fight, like you said, was very close. I don't think they won't get him completely out of the rankings. I think he'll still be up there, top 3 somewhere. So he'll get another shot. So, he just got to get back stronger and come and get maybe even the rematch or something. But But Rocha, Rocha's very, we've always known that he's very talented. He trains very hard. He comes to our gym to get a lot of sparring. So he's he's been winning. He has a few wins in a row, looking really good. And this was just another one, And sometimes, it's good to go the distance. People love to see knockouts, and promoters, managers, trainers. We all like the knockouts, but sometimes it's good for fighters to go the distance. They learn more from a fight going the distance than knocking everybody out in 2 or 3 rounds. Like I said, we all want that, and we want our fighters to all win by knockout. But when it comes to stepping up in competition and going more rounds, it's good to go the distance.
Especially Rocha, he had a guy from Argentina that was in front of him that didn't really come to win. He just came to collect his paycheck. He was running around most of the time. He was kind of in survival mode the whole time, just not really doing much. So it was kind of, it's hard to look good with those kind of opponents. But that was a co-main event. We move on to the main event, Ryan Garcia versus Javier Fortuna. During fight week, it already gave you a bad vibe when Fortuna was talking about how he wished he had more time to get ready for the fight. He had to ask for the fight at 140 pounds. And when he went into the ring, it showed. He did nothing. He had no game plan. He had it was the worst.
Didn't even try.
It was the worst we've seen Javier Fortuna. Like, he looked pudgy. He looked bad. He was just swinging wild punches. Like, it was like, credit to Ryan. I mean, that was the best opponent he's fought to date. And I think probably his best performance. He, dominated the whole fight, dropped him, I think 3-4 times. And then ended up getting the stoppage in the 6th round, I believe, 5th or 6th round. But again, Fortuna, during fight week, he was already saying, "Oh, I wish I would have had a few more weeks to get ready." Then it comes out like a few days before the weigh-in that they had to move it to 140, or that it was originally for 140 pounds. They just never mentioned it. So yeah, Ryan picks up the win. But again, Ryan, after the fight, a few things where he talked about where he wanted to, I think he wanted to stay at 140 pounds. He said he wants to fight Gervonta Davis. Obviously, that's the big one that he keeps talking about. But he said he wants to fight him at 140 pounds. What do you think about Ryan just completely, basically, giving up on 130 pounds?
Well, Ryan did what he had to do. I didn't watch the full fight, but a lot of highlights out on social media and everything. So I pretty much seen it. The knockdowns.
You saw all you had to see.
Ryan is very fast. He's got great speed and power. So those two combined are, it's all he needs. That's all he needs. He's very fast, and when he lands a good punch, it doesn't matter where it lands. It's gonna hurt. And what he did with Fortuna is what especially after all week that you said that Fortuna was saying he didn't get enough time, and he wished he would have had more time and all that. Well, I think I think that said he wasn't there to win. He was just there to try to last as many rounds as possible, and whenever he got hit hard, he knew the fight was going to be over. From what I see, I think it was there were knockdowns. Ryan does hit hard.
He got hit with that left nasty.
But the Fortuna that we've seen before, a few years back, really in his career, it's totally different. Obviously it's late in his career, and maybe he's at the end he's just looking for biggest fights out there for him, biggest paydays, and that's what a lot of fighters do. Towards the end of their career, that's what they do. They look for the biggest fights, biggest paydays. Definitely Fortuna is not a 140 pounder. He's not a 140, but I think it was
more of a featherweight.
It was already meant to be 140 because I think Ryan said that he's never going back to 135. So Ryan didn't.
Yeah, he'll go back if it's something big, which I'm guessing it has to be Devin Haney. It has to be something like that, and he's never going to.
Well, those fights more likely are not going to happen.
They're not.
Even Tank.
That's not.
I remember maybe a couple years ago when Lupe got involved with Ryan.
Right. Yeah. Lupe Valencia, which is Ryan's manager.
Yeah. He told me that fight in particular was something that was going to happen. So maybe they still have that same deal and that same chance to make that fight happen. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't see that happening. I think Tank's going to do his own thing with PBC, and Ryan do his own thing with Lupe and Golden Boy. There's, every fight Ryan fights is going to be big. Yes, Tank Davis is going to be the biggest fight, and it'll be huge, bigger than anything else, probably around boxing right now. But Ryan could be doing 2 or 3 of the one like Fortuna type of fights a year and still make a lot of money. Still, his popularity is huge, his following is huge, so he doesn't have to. That'd be like taking a big, because it is a big risk. I'm not saying it's going to be easy for Tank. Ryan has a shot. Ryan's very, very strong and very fast, so he could hurt Tank. And Tank's also going to be very careful.
He's got the size advantage, and Tank loses rounds. Tank against all his last opponents, he does end up knocking them out, but he's losing a lot of the rounds.
Does Ryan have a chance? Of course he does. I would probably favor Tank by a little bit, but that fight is very close. But is it something that Ryan wants? Maybe go out with one big fight and hopefully he wins. And if he doesn't, that's it for him. I think Ryan has said that he doesn't want to be in boxing that long. He wants to do other stuff. He's got other stuff. I'm pretty sure he's got a lot of other stuff that he could do. He could go into acting. He could go into modeling. He could go into so many different commercials.
He set himself up nice outside of boxing.
Exactly. So he's already, I'm pretty sure he already has a lot of plans after boxing. So that's why he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to stay in boxing too long. So maybe once this big fight and then out, win or lose, out.
Yeah.
But if he wants to stay in boxing longer, I'd probably say that's why I say that this fight might not happen, because he'll probably just go doing what he's doing, filling up the arenas, making a lot of money, millions of dollars, and then a couple of years from now retire and go into his, another career, because he could do whatever he wants, actually.
Yeah, I believe realistically we're going to get Tank Davis versus Michael Rivera, the one that beat Joseph Adorno in his last fight. I think that's that.
Is that right? Because he's also PBC.
He's 135. He has like the WBA something.
He's the guy that looks like Muhammad Ali or something.
Exactly, right? That guy. Yeah. So him.
You think that's the fight we're gonna get?
Yeah, Tank versus him, and then I believe the best realistic fight, because he's not gonna fight Devin Haney. He's not gonna fight, Teofimo. He says he wants to fight Teofimo at 140. He's not gonna do that. He's not gonna fight Tank. It's gonna be Jojo Diaz, and I think that's a good fight, but it has to be at 135. Jojo's barely a lightweight. He's barely a lightweight. He's honestly a 126, 130.
Ryan is saying
at 140.
He says he's not going to.
That's what I'm saying. So if he's up at 140, Golden Boy doesn't have a lot of guys at 140 pounds. All those guys at 140 pounds are with Top Rank, or they're, Top Rank has most of them. They have Josh Taylor, they have Jack Catterall, they have Teofimo, they have Jose, they have Chon Cepeda, they have Arnold Barboza, they have
because Ryan mentioned them all, and those are fights that could actually happen.
They're not going
because. But that's what I'm telling you. That's where I'm going. Because right now, Golden Boy has done that before with Jojo Diaz, with Joel Gonzalez, with you name him. He's done that before, where he sends his fighters to fight, on the other promotions and networks, but not with Ryan.
Right.
Ryan's their star, their big star right now, and they gotta be careful with that. And I'm pretty sure they have a deal with DAZN where it includes Ryan and Virgil and maybe
DAZN.
Yeah, they have to fight for DAZN, because DAZN wouldn't do a deal just with Golden Boy Promotion without having those big names in their promotion, because or else the guys could go fight somewhere else.
Yeah,
and then what will have to offer DAZN? I think the deal is that they have to have Virgil Ortiz and Ryan Garcia fight for DAZN. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like that.
Wrong.
It has to be
I might be wrong, unless they do a co-promotion, where it's a huge fight, Lomachenko and
no. That's what I was gonna tell you, because Top Rank, I'm sure Top Rank has similar things where they have guys like Loma, Teofimo, the big stars that they have that can't really leave the network. But do you think it would be possible? I think it would be, because them sending somebody like a Chon Cepeda, who's at 140 pounds. You don't think Top Rank would be willing to send somebody like Chon Cepeda to go fight Ryan Garcia at the end of the year?
Well, I think
or
Top Rank,
Arnold Barboza. One of these guys isn't Top Rank's main stars.
I think Top Rank's deal is with ESPN And I don't think that includes fighters because remember when
I think they have a certain amount of dates that they just have to fill up. Certain cards have a bigger budget than others. Certain ones are smaller. Right. So, you know, this next weekend coming up, July 23rd, it's a smaller card. Joy Gonzalez main event. That's a smaller budget. But then you go on to the bigger ones with Lomachenko, Teofimo, you know, like stuff like that. But Chon Cepeda, Arnold Barboza, these guys that are coming up at 140 pounds, but they're not necessarily these big, you know, well, we just had the Arnold Barboza card, a smaller kind of financial card. Do you think they would be willing to send maybe one of those guys over to I think they would. I think that's a possibility.
Of course, if it makes sense for Top Rank, why not? But the thing is that you also have to see that the way it looks with Golden Boy right now is if they send somebody, you know, if Top Rank sends somebody to a Golden Boy fight against Ryan, you know, Top Rank is not going to send them for 100, 150. It has to be a big budget, and you know, from what I see, all the big names that the big names that Golden Boy has, they you know, their opponent is very cheap. You know, Fortuna, you know, I don't know, he got maybe 100, somewhere around there. Virgil Ortiz next opponent is getting, you know, a little money. Munguia's opponents get so that's why they can't do those kind of fights where unless they're able to sell it to DAZN, yes, and DAZN puts up more money. But from what we've seen in the last few shows, it's all been against opponents that, you know, let's be real, you know, before he was scheduled to fight Virgil, I had never heard of that guy that he's going to fight, or that the guy that, you know, that like I had never seen him fight. I had never heard of him. You know, Munguia's opponents, you know, Ryan Garcia, we know Fortuna because Fortuna's been, you know, he's a former world champion, and that's, you know, that's a good name, but he came in pretty cheap. You know, he didn't come in to get to ask for $1 million. You know what I mean? It was very cheap. So that's why those fights are happening, because we're not seeing those big fights. You know, I'm sure Golden Boy could get a bigger budget against somebody like Jojo Diaz, but it's still not going to be that huge for Jojo Diaz.
I want to see Ryan versus Chon now.
Yeah, that's the thing, that Ryan's not fighting 140, so there's some big fights. Yeah, maybe Top Rank could, you know, it's affordable. What's his name? I'm
trying to help out Rick here. Chon and Arnold Barboza. I'm trying to get Rick paid.
Barboza. Those two are good fights for Ryan, and they're not extremely expensive. You know, I know Rick would do a great job getting the most out of it, but it's still not.
And Rick has JoJo too. Rick's fucking fighters.
You're right. He's got JoJo.
Rick's fucking fighters are fighting Ryan Garcia next.
So why are we even thinking of what's Cepeda and Barboza when
Rick
there? Yeah, it's easier to make.
We're just talking about Arnold Barboza. Actually, before we said that, I wanted to bring a quick little thing. We're in the topic of Golden Boy. It got announced that Sinisa Estrada has left Golden Boy. They have parted ways. You know, I believe it was all financial stuff. Again, we're talking about budgets and stuff. If Golden Boy can't even pay Ryan Garcia's opponents $100,000, whoever the co-main event isn't going to be making big money, which Sinisa Estrada has been co-main event to a lot of these big cards, and I'm sure she's asking for more money. She's a big draw now. She's gaining a lot of popularity, and you know they've parted ways. I've already heard who she signed with. I'm sure it's going to get announced in the next.
Did she sign somebody already?
Yes.
That quick?
I heard.
Well, you know, and
just rumors.
Obviously,
sources.
She's
Mike Coppinger.
She's fighting, and she's a champion. So of course she demands money. You know, maybe at one point a couple years ago, we would say you're lucky you even have fights with Golden Boy. But right now, the way women boxing is high and everything, she deserves it.
Become main events themselves now. Like it's not
exactly. Plus she could fight. She's good looking. She's beautiful. So I think that's something that any promoter should see. You know, that not only that she could fight, but she brings a lot of fans too, because she's good looking. She's Latino.
Pretty. She's Mexican American. She's here in Southern California.
American. So they could bring in a popular girl from Mexico and do bigger fights where she gets paid more. But you know, I think at this point with Golden Boy, you know, the dates that they have in the budget, they're saving it for just the big names, you know, and maybe
the main event's the one that's gonna make the star's gonna
3
make
or
the
4
money.
a year. You know, each fighter gets 2 a year, so they're gonna get maybe 8 shows a year, and their budget they're saving it for their big names. You know, we can't blame them either. You know, so if they got all this other, you know, like Estrada that's not happy, well, she's earned to get more money, and if they don't want to pay her, well, then she did what she had to do.
So with that being said, we move on to Friday's card, Arnold Barboza main event. The undercard was, you know, the fights early on, there was nothing, you know, too big. We had Richard Torres got a first round knockout. Opponent wasn't very good. I believe Cash Flow won by knockout.
Cash Flow been looking good, huh?
Yeah, he got a knockout in the second round, I believe. Second round.
That's good. Good for Cash Flow.
Then the co-main event, Raymond Muratalla bumped into the co-main event with
1 week notice.
1 week notice. Keyshawn Davis pulled out with I believe a stomach flu or something like that. Pulled out of his co-main event spot. Raymond Muratalla jumps in. Opponent changes 16-1. Raymond dominates the whole fight. Drops him in the 4th round. He had a little bit of a hand issue. Didn't get injured, but he switched. He used one glove his whole, like, since he's been working with us. He's been using one glove. He told us in the locker room because when we got the gloves, I told him, I was like, oh, these aren't the MX, these are different. He said, yeah, the MX. He's like, they bothered me a little bit. He's like, the last fight that I had, he's like, I was just because I got a quick knockout, got a knockout in the 3rd round. You know, they didn't get too bruised up. He's like, but I felt it every time I would hit, like my knuckles hurt. So he switched the gloves, and he said this one the same thing. He's like, it was the same thing. He's like, every time I was hitting the guy, my knuckles were just like, they were bothering me. He didn't come out with any injuries. You know, his hands are fine, but just really bruised up from he didn't really the glove wasn't for him. He didn't try it before. We didn't even know he was going to switch. We didn't even know he was going to switch the glove. But still able to dominate the whole fight, win all 8 rounds. Like we were talking about earlier against Rocha, and some of these guys didn't get the spectacular finish that maybe we would have liked. You know, maybe the matchmakers at Top Rank, maybe ESPN would have liked to be able to show highlights and stuff like that. But he's still able to win the whole fight. And with now Top Rank right away saying, you know, his next one will be a 10-rounder. It was good that he ended up going to 8 rounds. So, you know, just so we know, you know, that he can do that. What did you think of Raymond's performance? Obviously, you saw it.
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, when a fighter is ready to step up to the next level of competition and rounds, it's good to go to the distance. You know, we would have loved the knockout. It would have looked sensational if we would have knocked the guy out cold like he did in his previous fight. But nine fights in a row, all by knockout. You know, he had never been 8 rounds, and now, you know, he went all 8. So that's a good sign.
And with a little adversity, with his hands kind of bothering him, he had his nose he got hit with that uppercut that his nose was bothering him. It was a little bit bruised up right on the edge, right on the top of the nose.
Right, new opponent, you know, the week of the fight. So all that was a little bit of, you know, we could say a little bit of the excuse, but I think it's still good. You know, he went all 8. He looked really good. His skills are very good. He's very patient. He landed more than 50% of his punches, which is a lot. Very hardly do we ever see somebody landing 51 or 52% of his punches.
Because that's one of the things too. Because if Raymond has gotten this because he's 15-0, 12 knockouts. Obviously, he has a lot of power. But what we've seen from him in the gym and stuff is he's really hard to hit. He's really accurate with his punches. He's really smart, like you said, patient. But he hits really hard on top of it. If we would have got, because Tim Bradley was mentioning like, oh, you know, this guy had been stopped previously. If Raymond's what we say he is, he should have knocked him out already, this and that. But with the numbers where you see that there was a point where Raymond had to hit him with 150 punches and he had only got hit with like 20, like some ridiculous number like that. If that was Shakur Stevenson, you would be hearing this is the second coming of Pernell Whitaker, and, you know, he's impossible to hit, but look how accurate he is and stuff. So he's gotten to the point now where he's gotten really, really known for, you know, he's 15-0, 12 knockouts, but Raymond's a really, really hard fighter to hit. He has great accuracy. like you said, he landed over 50% of his punches, and he got hit with like 9%, like some ridiculous stat like that. Like it was just completely, completely lopsided. But because we expect so much from Raymond, that even a performance like that where he just completely dominates, we're kind of like, he could have still done he could have done a little bit more. He felt the same way in the locker room and stuff. He said he didn't feel, that he performed the way he wanted to or the way he should have. Which is good with a performance like that, and still
what, and that's why Bradley's saying it. I think Bradley's is saying it because we all expect a little bit more, like you're saying. Bradley knows how good he is. He knows. I've said that he's one of the best, if not the best, one of our best fighters in our gym. We've talked about it. Bam I was talking about Bam for a while, and now people are telling me you were right. Well, Raymond's the same way. Brandon's the same thing with Raymond. We're saying the same thing, but yeah, we would have won, that spectacular knockout, but it's good, and Timothy Bradley saying that, I don't even remember. You could go back to some of the best fighters right now, Crawford, Spence, and in their 15th fight, I'm pretty sure, their opponents weren't even, 16-1. Timothy Bradley himself, my record, so many, managers, promoters, their job is to protect the fighters until they become champions. So, he'd been knocked out before. Well, that's just, something like something to make the fighter maybe want it more, train harder, and do something better. Even though Raymond trains very hard, he's very dedicated.
It's high expectations, though.
But Bradley doesn't know that, So maybe he does it, to try to pump him up a little more, to make him see, to make him be a little more aggressive. Maybe take more risk. Maybe don't, you know what I mean? Don't be too careful.
Yeah. And the telecast, they did notice that his hands were bothering him, though, because he hit him with the left hook and he shook his hand. And Bernardo Osuna came over to the corner and asked me, are his hands okay? And Raymond hadn't told us anything. We noticed something too. We noticed something too. And after the 5th round, in the corner, I didn't ask Raymond if his hands were bothering him. We noticed, a little bit. And I told him, I was like, this guy's, because in the 4th round, he hurt him. He dropped him in the 5th round. Raymond came out, hit him with a lot of combinations, and the guy wasn't going anywhere. So I told him, I was like, Raymond's going to be tough to knock this guy out. I was like, let's just keep doing what you're doing and put a beating on him. If they want to stop it, let them stop it. Just keep doing what you're doing, whatever. And Bernardo Osuna came over and asked, are his hands okay? Like, it looks like his hands are bothering him. And I didn't want to say it either. I didn't want to say, oh yeah, his hands are, so I just told him, I was like, nah, he's just going to, keep boxing him. This kid's going to be tough. That's it. That's all we're just going to play it kind of safe. But they did notice his hands were bothering him. But like I said, now he just has really high expectations. These kind of performances, even though they're dominating performances, you win every single round, every single moment of the fight. He got hit with one clean uppercut the whole time. Now they're expecting more. They're expecting more, and Raymond knows that too. So it's
we are. And that's what we're going to do next.
It's a good position.
It's a 10-rounder already. His next fight's a 10-rounder, and his competition is gonna step up too. And if we would have known this was our opponent for a month and a half, 2 months, it would have been different also. We came in we were getting ready for somebody else. And I'm pretty sure if the guy fought there, right? I'm pretty sure it was totally different. Nothing even.
Raymond would have stopped that guy in half a round.
Okay, that's what I'm telling you. Okay, so that was the plan, because I actually talked to Brad before. I said, Brad, I'm not gonna be here for that fight. And very important. So he's fighting close to home, so his fans are gonna be there. So let's get him the right opponent. So he was supposed to fight somebody else. Like you said, it would have been a pretty quick win, right?
Quick knockout.
Okay. But then a week before, Brad tells me, Keyshawn Davis is out. Do you want to bring Raymond in? So I called the dad and I talked to the dad. The dad, I looked him up a little, and we said, you know what? Well, we knew it was going to be easy, but we seen that Raymond also beats that guy. So, he did. beat him every round. But, we took the fight with 1 week notice, even though he was getting ready for that same day against somebody else. But the training was different. The guy was just a total different fighter. So we were not ready for the guy that we fought. So that made a little bit of a difference too. So, no excuses. He still looked great and he still won and won every round. Dropped him and looked very good. But, that's could be a little bit of an excuse that we want to say it. His next fight will be sometime in October, maybe November. He'll have a solid opponent. It'll be a 10-rounder. Again, maybe a co-main events and a nice big show. And
I'm hearing Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence is gonna be sometime in November. That's all I know.
Well, but that's gonna be PBC unless we fight somebody from PBC.
Yeah, let's fight somebody from PBC. They got a bunch of 135-pounders. If they want to do Raymond versus Rollies, if they want to do Raymond versus
Raymond versus Rollies would be fucking badass.
Let's go. Call main event.
How about Rayo?
Frank Martin.
Who's that?
Frank, the guy with Derek James. The one that fought. He beat Marinas last week.
Is he good?
Yeah, he's good. Rayo versus Raymond. Raymond versus Rollies or Raymond versus Frank Martin. Let's go. Call main event. Right. Benavides family and stuff, give Top Rank a call. Let's set it up. But yeah, main event was Arnold Barboza versus Daniel Zorrilla, both undefeated. It was one of those fights where I believe Arnold Barboza dominated most of the fight. Like he won majority of the rounds, but none of the rounds were easy. Like he got hurt like in the last round. It was a competitive fight, but
Barboza got hurt.
Yeah, in the last round he was stunned a little bit, but it was a good last round because he got hurt. He was against the ropes. The guy was landing combinations. He would turn them, and then Barboza would go at it with them right away. So it was a fight where I think Barboza won majority of the rounds. He won I believe probably like 8 rounds or something. But none of the rounds were really easy. Like it was a competitive fight. And Barboza now lining himself up to get a big fight at 140 pounds. We're starting to see all the titles that Josh Taylor won start getting vacant little by little. He already vacated the WBA, vacated the WBC. He's going to fight Catterall, and that he said that's his last fight. So then he has the IBF and WBO, more vacant titles. I think we do end up seeing Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barboza for the WBO title. I think that's, a big possibility. And
well, that's good because
there's be patient now.
There's going to be opportunities for 8 fighters, and hopefully Barboza gets his opportunity. He's been doing it his whole life, and he's undefeated. He's winning, and he was in a tough fight. You told me before the fight, that's going to be a really good fight. I think the main event is going to be a really good fight because that guy's tough, and even though Barboza won, but he was in a real fight, so he deserves his title shot. Hopefully he gets it. Hopefully when those titles go vacant, he gets that opportunity, like you said, against the Teofimo or anybody else. He should get a title opportunity.
The WBO is the one that works with Bob Arum the most. They've worked really, really close with Bob Arum since they've had Pacquiao. They've had most of their world champs. If you see, they've been WBO champs. Mikey was 2-time. Shakur has 2 WBO titles. Valdez had 2.
And a lot of the main. Well, I'm not saying a lot of them, but Cotto was one of them that Puerto Ricans have been with Top Rank or have fought for Top Rank, and WBO is Puerto Rican, so maybe that's also
the WBO always seems to work well. I believe Teofimo is going to win his next fight pretty easy, and that sets up Teofimo versus Arnold Barboza as soon as the WBO becomes vacant. And because this for like a WBO international.
I don't know how Teofimo's going to look.
He's going to look sensational.
If he's had issues before, family issues and all that, you never know. Hopefully he looks great because he's good for boxing and he's big names for other fighters, for some of our fighters. So I would like him to look good and win. But you don't know when a fighter has issues, family problems. It takes a lot out, and you never know. So let's hope he does. Because then, we could probably see Barboza against him. We could see Jose Ramirez against him. We could see Lindolfo in the future, maybe even Raymond Muratalla in the future. So those are.
I'm rooting for Teofimo.
That would exactly. Plus, not just because of that.
That's cool.
I like him. I like his dad. I'm always going to root for them. They're always been really cool to us. So if he fights somebody where I think, it's too hard. If I maybe pick against him, that doesn't mean I'm against him. Maybe I'm just thinking he doesn't win, but he's cool. He's really good for boxing, and and I like them. You know, they're both cool people.
That does it for this. Well, the fights from this past weekend. Next week, this next Saturday coming up, July 23rd, we have fights from Minnesota. We have fights in Minnesota. We have Javier Martinez, middleweight, undefeated with top rank, and Antonio El Gigante Mireles, also on the undercard of Joey Gonzalez versus Isaac Dogbe, which is going to be a really, really good fight. That's a really, really close competitive fight.
Yeah, I think Joey Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think Joey's going to beat him. So
I think Joey's probably going to stop him.
Yeah, I got Joey by TKO.
Me too.
But yeah, we'll be in Minnesota this weekend with Javi and with Mireles. Yeah, that does it for this.
Hey, but wasn't Mireles gonna fight on another card instead on the 20th? Or he's gonna go back and fight again? He's gonna do both?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And we also had
I don't know if we're supposed to say that. He already has 2 fights lined up. But yeah.
For what? Why not?
What's his name? Richard Torres. Richard Torres, as soon as his fight was over, they already had the poster for his next fight.
Yeah, wasn't también Misael peleó, ¿no?
Misael picked up the 7th round. 3-year layoff, fucking Misael. 7th round. Stop bitch.
Gotta get him back slow.
Yeah, we had
Cardenas picked up a first round knockout, right?
Yes, that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Fuck, I was gonna say something right now. Oh, Mireles, he's been sparring Andy Ruiz. So he's been getting a lot of good sparring, good working with Andy and them. So he's in really good shape. He's been getting the best sparring he's been able to get. So yeah, he's gonna be ready, and yeah, it looks like he'll be fight July 23rd.
And he's gonna continue sparring Andy Ruiz, right? Because
he's coming back right away.
He doesn't fight till September.
Yeah, so for the next one, he'll be in good shape too. He's he's fighting August 20th. He's been doing all his sparring again with Andy Ruiz. He's gonna take a few days off after his fight. Hopefully, no injuries, no cuts, nothing happens. Knock on wood. He's coming back and he's gonna spend a few days at home, and then he's coming back right after to continue sparring with Andy and them.
That's badass.
That's a lot of experience. So yeah, that does it for this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we kind of got our schedules down, so we'll be getting on every week again. Next week we'll get on to talk about Joey and them, and yeah, thank you.